The weaver's presence was like a shadow, a fragment of the past lingering in the twilight of the glade. Etta stood still, her mind racing, her heart thudding loudly in her chest as the old man's words hung in the air. The loom must remain silent, for some threads must never be woven. She searched his face for some hint of clarity, but his expression was unreadable. His eyes darkened with age and sorrow. "You've returned," she said, her voice trembling slightly as she took a step toward him. "Why? Why did you leave the loom? Why did you leave me?" The weaver's lips curled into a faint, sorrowful smile. "You've felt the pull, haven't you? The threads of fate winding tighter with each passing day. The loom calls to you, as it once called to me. But you must understand, Etta, some things are too dangerous to weave." Etta's mind swirled with questions, but one stood out above the others. "The storm," she whispered. "Is it the loom? Is it you who controls it?" "The storm is a force beyond the loom's design," the weaver said gravely. "It is the consequence of too many threads being woven too quickly. It is not just a storm of wind and rain, it is the storm of fate itself, unraveling. I thought I could control it, but I was wrong." Etta's breath caught in her throat. The weaver had tried to control fate, and failed. The storm she had seen in the tapestry was not just a physical storm. It was the manifestation of all that had gone wrong when the weaver had attempted to weave the threads of time too boldly. "You must stop it," Etta said urgently. "The village, everything. The village is already caught in the storm." The weaver interrupted, his voice low and burdened. "The storm has already begun. You cannot stop it by weaving more. You must undo what has been done." Etta's heart sank as the weight of his words settled in her chest. The very thing she had been drawn to, the loom that had been her obsession, was the cause of the impending disaster. She looked at the loom again, now understanding its true nature, not a tool of creation, but a device capable of destroying the balance of the world itself. "How?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. The weaver took a step closer to the loom and placed his hand on its frame. The threads pulsed with a strange energy, the air around them thick with the sensation of time itself warping. "To undo what has been done, you must weave the unweavable. There is a thread here that should never have been touched. A thread that binds the storm to us. If you pull it, if you sever it, you will stop the storm. But it will come at a cost." Etta's breath caught in her throat. "What cost?" "The cost is your thread, Etta," he said softly. "You will be lost. The loom will be no more, and so will you." The weight of his words hung between them like a blade, sharp and unyielding. Etta's mind spun. She had come so far. She had found the truth, uncovered the mystery, and yet, the answer was one of sacrifice. But there was no choice. The storm, the devastation, it was too great. If she did not act, the village, the forest, and everything she held dear would be consumed by the very thing she had sought to understand. Etta stepped forward, her hands trembling as she reached toward the loom. The thread shimmered before her, the unweavable thread calling to her. She could feel its power, its dark allure. She had always believed that she could control the loom, that she could understand its mysteries. But now, she understood that some things were never meant to be understood. With a steadying breath, Etta grasped the thread. The world around her seemed to pause, the air crackling with energy, and the loom pulsed in response. In that moment, she knew that she was about to change everything. And yet, as she pulled, she could feel a part of herself unraveling, her essence slipping away. The storm, the one that had threatened to engulf them all, began to fade, its power dissipating like smoke in the wind. But in that moment of triumph, Etta knew that she had paid the ultimate price. The loom was no more, and neither was she. The storm had been stopped, but at the cost of her own existence. And in the quiet that followed, the weaver's voice echoed one final time. Some threads must never be woven. The forest, now still and silent, had reclaimed its peace.